My goal is the subject. I remember a debate competition long back when I was a student in +2. So there's always a in favor and against. So the topic was how Western civilization has spoiled us. And I was talking against it, that it has not spoiled us. It has not. And I gave an example there that look at this wonderful environment, all colleges have gathered together, and we are having our cultural festival today. Isn't it an example that the Western civilization hasn't corrupted us? So there was this wonderful guy who came from a village, small college, somewhere in the interiors of Punjab, and he says, how many of these happen today? Why do we gather together once a year to celebrate our culture? It should have been a part and parcel of our days, day in, day out. That's the impact I'm talking about. He didn't win, but he has been winner since then in my eyes, because that guy changed me. It's not a day's magic. On a given day, what you do it, is it a part of you? How frequently we think about it. When I wrote about it 4 years back, one of the comments which I got on my blog post was, it's not something new you're talking about. Isn't that the irony? 4 years back, it was not new, but still, you know where we stand as Indian testing industry. So these are actual statements. Each of us are not sent to Mars all alone and asked to test software without anyone's access or help. Very important point. It's a point about teamwork. Each of these statements, if you read them, if somebody says these statements to you, you would be convinced that testers don't need to learn programming. They're very powerful statements, and very, very carefully I've picked them from the world for you, because I want to debate them out once for all today in this talk. Teamwork. If you don't know programming, you always have someone on your team from whom you can take help. Yes, very valid point. Very, very valid point. We test code. We write code to test code. So basically the point made here is, how do you know that the code which you write to test code is itself not buggy? How do you take care of that? Very, very important point. Both these points were made by a person whom I deeply respect from Bangalore. This is another essential point. There are a lot of automation talks also going on today. Automation being my research areas, I focus a lot of what people in the automation world say. Codeless test automation. That why should we learn programming? Anyways, the world is headed toward that 5th, nth generation tools. I don't know which generation. Testing generation has not evolved. Automation generations have evolved. The irony of our industry, all terms. So codeless test automation. If somebody's sitting in this room who's going to sell that as a vendor presentation here, I'm sorry. But then codeless test automation and record playback, I don't see the difference really. Same arguments, but very powerful argument. People make this argument, people listen it in a talk, people read a blog from a great leader, then without thinking whether it's their own opinion, they make it a point. The next time someone asks me to learn programming, I can say this, right? That's how people say it. On Facebook, do you ever qualify whose couplet it was, who shared the original post? You just make it a part of your wall without acknowledgement. Similarly, in our own life, we make people's opinions, people's opinion our wall. That's what we are. We never think back. What if it comes from a great leader? That's his wall. Before it comes to our Facebook wall, we should think about it. Whether that's our opinion or not, we don't qualify that. The best QA tester. So this point, this slide deck would be anyways available. Please go through the details. The point made here is very essential point. Very, very, very essential point. Very fundamental argument. A tester's job is to think from a user's perspective, from business perspective. And then he goes on to say that if I get a tester who's a programmer, if I get a tester who knows business, I would all the way prefer the person who knows business and is a tester over a person who's a tester and a programmer. Very powerful argument. One of the most common arguments made. Okay, this guy goes a little further. There are indeed two types of testers. People who think, people who do not. If you go through that Quora post one by one, that is a subtle message. There's a beautiful book called Asking the Right Questions. It's a book on reviewing. If you see an article in a newspaper, how do you do a critical assessment of that? That the conclusion which is being made, did the previous arguments build to that conclusion or not? There's a 10-step process to that. It was out of nowhere. Earlier he was talking about automation, how it needs, and suddenly this statement, out of nowhere this statement is made. which makes one think, who's not, just critically analyzing it, okay, there are two types of testing. What a good dialogue next time. I have such a beautiful excuse next time. Why I'm not learning programming? Because I'm a thinking tester. I'm a thinking tester. And the person who programs, he's not there yet. We are victims, isn't it? We all are victims as testers. All the blog posts out there, we are victims. Somebody out there is victimizing us. They don't let us grow. They don't let us do what we want to do. That's what we are. Knowledge of code makes me biased. I don't know how many isko paros ke mujhe diya gaya, this argument. It's like that coriander on biryani. That underlying what arguments are going on at the last, it's that cherry on cake, coriander on biryani. That coding makes me biased. So, suddenly it shakes you. Oh, is it? Because bias is a strong word. I don't want to get biased. Another excuse not to learn programming. Next time someone says, my manager says to me, oh, no. See, do you want a biased tester on your team? No, right? Okay. This is a bigger one. Interestingly, all this text is about exploratory testing. All this. And it comes, I have named the person here, because I took this from a blog post, which is copyrighted and other things. Elizabeth Hendrickson, one of the most respected persons in testing world. Very, very intelligent. And all this big thing, under the heading, do testers have to write code? She goes on to say later, so unless they are automating tests, I don't think that testers should be required to have programming skills. Same, asking the right questions. The article is something else, you're concluding something else. Unless they are automating tests. So this is another fundamental argument. When you ask testers, do you need to learn programming? So are you going to automate? What is the percentage of work in India which is on automation? X, Y, Z, QTP, Selenium, this. Anyways, 10% is automation, 90% still we are doing manual labor. Why do you need to learn programming? You would survive. Anyways, people who enter into testing profession are never hired based on programming. Never. They usually are the ones who got rejected in a development interview. I'm sorry. Mechanical engineer, right? After whatever I performed in the learning environment, whatever I scored, but I was a mechanical engineer. I cannot be a developer. So I cursed everyone that time. Today I don't. I am very proud tester. Very, very proud. All right. So enough counter arguments. Good number of them. Good arguments. They are very strong statements. You go through them, you listen to those people, probably they'll have more points. I can't do justice to them in a single presentation. It's not a topic which can be sorted out in 45 minutes. Industry has not been able to sort it out in 10 years. So I can do only as much justice. Please be with me. I am very, very biased about my experience. So with a pinch of salt. Which testing are you talking about when you try to solve it without programming? Which SDLC? Today if I ask you SDLC, VW, you would draw it, right? Which testing are we talking about? Which testing? Which testing are we trying to solve problems for without knowledge of programming? Functional testing? Without the automation part? Yes, UX, usability, probably some compatibility, because that person most likely would not understand why browsers are different from each other. What is a rendering engine? Why the image box appears as X in one and a Khali Dibba in another. So it's an assumption that compatibility, browser compatibility test, simple thing like browser compatibility test can be done without programming background. Performance testing? Really? Security testing? Really? White box testing? Unit testing? Which testing are you talking about without knowledge of programming? Agile. There's an agile track going on. This is agile testing quadrants. Open your eyes, please. Agile is not Scrum. Agile is not Scrum. Agile is not that bullshit stand-up meeting in the morning, which is meant for 15 minutes where you stand for 1 hour because it is called stand-up meeting. It was supposed to be stand-up meeting because it was supposed to be short. That's what we do. That's what we do to knowledge, to any subject. That's what we do. We pick a process out of things. Q1, Q2, Q3, where is manual testing here? How come you can call yourself agile? Yes, there's one way, teamwork, right? Somebody out there is there. So most of this agile testing quadrant is the responsibility of dev teams, IT teams. We would like to come into picture into Q3, and still we want to be proud testers, respected testers. Developers should talk to us like this. Developers should not victimize us. Sales talk. One of the fundamental things which is taught in sales talk is talk the client's language. When did you last talk developers' language? Because developers talk code, developers talk design, developers talk architecture. We talk BVA, we talk ECP, we talk some vague interface level language, click, 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 irrespective of which layer we are testing, irrespective of it is a protocol layer testing, we are bound by clicks. You don't believe me? Go to the web today, search for the scenarios for login password screen. Have they changed over 10 years? Have our interview processing changed over years? Invalid, valid, 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 valid. क्या बकवास है यार ये? क्या है ये? A simple notion of state, which actually derived from the development world, which actually derived from there on state transition diagrams. We converted that. Extensions to noun-verb technique. Noun-verb technique was actually derived from object-oriented programming, that a class is a noun, a method is a verb. Talk to those people who derived these techniques. We have derived so much from development world, but we depend on some others to derive that for us. We would never do that because we are proud testers. So next time you call yourself agile, please take a printout of this and put in front of you. Am I there? No. No. I confess before you. You need to ask yourself, are you there? And with the absence of programming, with the absence of testers knowing programming, would you be there that you can call yourself agile? That's a question to answer. By the way, this is now undergoing rework from the testing community. Probably next time you see agile quadrants, it would never be the same because most likely it would be adjusted that programming is pulled out of it. And I'm not joking. Go to the web. This is being revamped from the testing community. I can't imagine what that would be because I believe programming would be out. So we had a session today on metrics. We have a company here who does those metrics study also. And I believe, I'm referring to KPMG. So I believe they would today have stats on how many jobs of a particular type existing in India. So they can actually bring forward that statistic to me. They can prove that this is the work ratio which exists in the market. Why should we learn programming? The question to ask here is, why the work exists in that ratio? How many of you work for product companies? Be very, very sincere to me. With the existing skills, you know that these things have to be tested. You know that. But you are not testing that because of skill set. Am I wrong or right? Are you finding the talent in the industry? Are you finding kernel mode testers today in the market who can test kernel mode components? Ask yourself, what did we build? What kind of industry we have built? Look at my face, how tense I look, isn't it? I get frustrated, yes. I get frustrated. Coding makes me biased. Knowledge makes you biased, boss. You are already biased. When you enter username, password, and prove me if I am wrong, throughout your life, you have always entered login first and then password. Did you ever enter password first and then login? Did you? That's called order bias. Many of us are biased about tools. Many of us are biased about programming languages. We have our biases. We have biases about people. We have bias about the software. मुझे तो break करना है यार, बस मेरा काम ही वो है. We are biased already. So, should we stop learning testing? Should we stop learning approaches, languages, tools? These are excuses. Coding makes me biased. Who the hell told you that after learning coding, you should look at the code of the software, if that makes you biased, by the way? In my own experience, only probably 4 or 5% of my work was white box testing. 95% of the times I have been benefited with knowledge of programming as a black box tester, as an exploratory tester, as a person who was doing test automation. It gives you perspective, not bias. If that perspective brings you biased, that's okay, fight it. Look for the positive and negative biases in that. So, Point number one, debate it out. Exploratory testing adds value. I would be a fool standing here if I say no to this. Although I would like to call it exploration, I don't believe exploratory testing should be treated separately. Exploration is a part of every tester's activity, whether you're formally testing it, whether you're informally testing it. We should learn about it. But then, what is this argument? Why are we treating them as mutually exclusive stuff that either you can explore or you can code? What is this nonsense? What is this nonsense? Doesn't a developer explore? The developer explores designs, alternatives, how to implement this, design patterns. Pattern thinking is one of the suggested things to testers. So coding cannot prevent you from exploration. You are preventing yourself from coding by giving this argument. We can take help. Oh, yes. Now let's look at some of those argument points. When you club them together, they look silly. Elizabeth Hedrington. She goes on blabbering about exploratory testing is great. Blabber because it was out of context. She was talking about why testers should not learn code. I don't know how appreciation of exploratory testing prevents us from learning coding. That's not a good argument to make. But then she goes on and says, some of the best testers I know would not code their way out of a for loop. That's a statement. The slide deck is there for reference, for everyone's reference. All right. Now look at the other argument, which was we can take help. Now imagine such a tester is put into a coding situation who can't find a way out of for loop. How many times would you seek help here? How many times would you seek help for a for loop, for if else, for a switch statement, for data types, for how to import a code file into another? So don't help. This is not called teamwork. This is called parasitic behavior. Parasiticism never leads to teamwork. Never. Seek help when it is worth seeking. Then people would respect you. Test code is also buggy. Yes, you are also buggy. I am also buggy. How many times we have done mistakes in our testing work? So pull us also out of the project because we are buggy. Rather than investing in us, rather than helping us develop the way we should help the test code to become maturer over a period of time. Testers should think from user's perspective, how is it exclusive? In fact, if you're doing user experience testing, you're looking at the user's interface. And now there is this sudden feature which comes into your mind. How about introducing this feature? How about reduction of these steps from 7 to 3? How about fast path pattern? You would be amazed to find many of the UX experience guidelines, they come from performance solutions, UX re-engineering. And a part of that is performance patterns and anti-patterns. HDFC's 40% faster ATMs. It was not born out of a black box tester, ironically. It was born out of performance case study. It was born out of a centering principle and a fast path pattern. That's what they did. They never did anything else to HDFC's faster ATMs. It was not born out, with all due respect, out of usability analysis. At least I don't know about that. It was born out of people who knew programming, but they were doing usability studies. So have your facts ready. Have your facts ready. These are not mutually exclusive. I would be a fool, as I mentioned earlier, to challenge the value of user experience testing. I do that. Day in, day out, I do that. I run a business today, but I am more or less, I am in delivery role today. I have never become a manager in my whole life. I have been an individual contributor. Those theoretical tracks which were being discussed in the panel discussion, I am one of the examples of the technical track who said no to promotion to a test manager role. I have struggled in my life. So these facts are my experience, my biases. There are two types of testers. Oh yes, then you talk of collaboration. Because if you want to say that the output of code doesn't have a thinking of its own, then I would like to question then why the hell developers have been researching on artificial intelligence. And this codeless test automation, oh yes, codeless automation, this is my argument against it. Who developed that codeless test automation? Isn't that test code buggy? So you're banking on someone else's research. You're okay with that in the same area. But then you don't want to learn it because I have an argument. I have a solid argument against it. Codeless test automation, I'll not like to argue this point any further. My question to you is the question which I raised on my first slide. How many times should it happen to you before it occurs to you? How many times have you burnt your hand with record and playback? Did it work? QTP was served in that manner to us. It is a great tool, but its greatness lies in its libraries, its extensibility using programming, its extensibility so that you can develop frameworks. Which of you is using QTP for professional work without writing a framework? You tell me. Or any other tool which comes to your mind. Without having a proper framework around it, building repurposed libraries, probably some team out there is building it. But you tell me, for professional work, were you ever able to use a tool out of the box like that? There are people with programming knowledge who are involved, who can use the tool in right way. This point is not against QTP. This is a point against their marketing team. Okay? Programming gives you a perspective. Most of these tools, okay, performance testing world, they tell you we do browser emulation. And you buy it. We get requests, we would like to emulate browsers in this performance test. In the absence of a JavaScript engine in a tool, you tell me how can a browser emulation be done? These tools don't have JavaScript engine in them. Then they they don't have a HTML renderer in them. Then they say we do browser emulation. You know what they do? There's a header called user agent. They replace that string while sending the request. That's called browser emulation? Really? 2 lines of code and big marketing manual around it? It gives you perspective. If you're testing a command line, how many of you have tested command line? Command line interface to a tool. Duplicate switch testing, do you do that? Right? Now, when you pass switches to a command line, how is the data being parsed from the command line? What is the internal data structure? If the data structure is a hash map, why the hell are you doing duplicate switch testing for every switch? One test is enough. One test to test whether duplicate is allowed. Any switch you pick up does not matter. And then whether a second value overrides the first one or it is ignored. That's it, done. I have seen 200, 250 test cases for duplicate switch testing. Is it looking at code? Is it white box testing? No. It's about thinking that if you were building a command line interface, you'll need to parse it, you'll need to represent it using an internal data structure. What all data structures are possible? Array or hash map? I'll give you another example. So I was testing this anti-malware software. I was a part of research labs at McAfee earlier, in a past life, before I set up TestMile as a startup and testing services company. So there what I saw is that there's a component in the kernel which sort of captures, produce word was not used. It captures, let's say, network events. You're using those tools, by the way. Okay, your firewalls, these things, they do something around that. So, and there's a user mode component to which these are published, and now it would scan that. Okay, now, no code, it is undocumented behavior, and this is a conversation which I had with developer. Okay, I said, what I assume is, on a software system, you cannot have a single line of thing capturing events and single line of scanning. So is it multi-threaded? Yes, was the answer. So if there is one component which is capturing things, the second component which is processing it, it means you should have something like a producer-consumer design pattern. Yes. The data structure between this should be a thread-safe data structure. And because the event should be scanned in the same sequence as they came, so it's a FIFO structure. Are you using a queue? Yes. But then different types of softwares have different priorities on a given system. Are you using a priority queue? Yes. What's the max length? 100. That's the boundary. This is called boundary value analysis. Not -1, not +1. That you can teach to a second graduate kid, right? Second grade kid. So, next thing, no test was conducted. This is conversation going on. Do you think 100 is sufficient? Can we debate about when this 100 would not be sufficient? Oh my God, he said. This has to be deployed on a server class machine also, like an email server. This is way below the limit which we should have put. Thank you. No bug logged. No bug logged. Okay? This is the perspective I'm talking about. Would it happen every time? No. But if it doesn't happen to you, you are the same person whom I met again. He's doing web services testing. He knows that user authentication system is being used in the body of the request. In the post body, he sends username and password, although he knows that it is documented that this particular web service uses HTTP authentication. HTTP authentication is a header-based system. The credentials are not sent in the body. 3 days wasted. 3 days wasted. Was it coding? Was it looking at the code which made you biased? No. The absence of coding made that person behave like an idiot in the politest way, in the most polite manner. Am I standing here as a perfect guy? No, I'm not saying that. This debate is against people who say it's not necessary. It's misguiding, it's misleading us. It has misled the industry for such a long time. Let's get out of this. The hypocrisy. Some of you might be able to relate to it. I hate this part. I hate, really. Testing should start as early as possible, but let's not care about whether testers can get involved as early as possible, whether they have skills to review the design, whether they have skills to review requirements, whether they can look at code, whether they can get involved in TDD, this all DD things which are happening. Let's not worry about skills, but on paper, oh, we should start testing as early as possible. There is this keynote, there is something happen, there is all hands meeting, all fingers meeting, whatever. Victimization. Who victimized us? Who? Who's that person? Who's that they? They don't, who's that they are? Some of those they, we are a part of that they to someone else out there. We would love to be called agile. Let's pick Scrum from the agile. Even if we are interested in TDD, BDD, ATD, let the developers worry about that. We stand up every day morning. I did yesterday. What I'm going to do today. I don't know what I'm going to do tomorrow. And the other person, acha, theek hai beta. So this managers made Scrum Masters. Yahi kiya bas. Any kind of Scrum management tool is the best micromanagement tool ever made by a human, ever. Because the other tools never gave you stats around half an hour, 1 hour, what a person was doing. You take ScrumWorks today, and I've seen people using it like that. The core values of Agile about freedom, self-organizing teams, it gets lost. You know why your meetings in Scrum are 1 hour? Because manager was made the Scrum Master. Now, the person had to just say, you know, I logged a bug and I'm going to work this. So meeting, I can't tell you how difficult that was. Morning I spent late time and then I communicate. Itna bada update hai. Because there's appraisal at stake. Yeah? Testing and development are equivalent jobs, they serve different purposes, but, oh, why should we reject this candidate? What if he didn't perform well in interview for development job? Achhi baat kar raha hai na, smart lag raha hai, tester banao. Test automation should be treated as a development activity. This is another, you have heard the word apologist. Okay? We behave like that. We as testing community is the biggest community of apologists ever created in the world. Let's not bother about reading books from development. Testing ka book to padhte nahi yaar. I've asked this question, I'll not ask this today. I have enough, I think I'm too excited today. But then this is a question of introspection. Ask yourself, when did you read last testing book? Okay? And forget about reading development books, studying about design patterns, architecture. This title was too simple. I didn't mean that testers should learn programming. I in fact meant that testers should become a developer. That's what I meant. But the message in a slow way has to be passed. Because development is more than coding. It's about design, it's about architecture, it is about weighing options and other things. Okay? It's about conversing in their language. And this data-driven, keyword-driven, how long are you going to listen to this here? How long? I remember I had just written my research paper on automation. It was called Test Encapsulation. There was another research paper called Auto-Regression, making your regression framework a true regression framework, where it chooses tests when to run, etc., etc. I was publishing all these papers. And my manager, a very well-respected person, he has done a lot for me, in fact. Okay? And he, of course, understood the follow-up conversation also, which I said. I'm very thankful to him. He created that career path for me. He said, Rahul, now you should look at growing. Test automation you've been doing for like these years. But you know, I have never seen you using these words. I was reading this paper. There's a conference. Why don't you go and attend? I said, what is the topic? Data-driven and keyword-driven test automation. If we were mature enough, by this time we would have understood the concept of adapters, fixtures. We would have understood that ATDD is another fancy name. Apart from the philosophy aspect, that there's a text representation, there's a business representation of the test for everyone to understand. There are converters which associated to the underlying logic. It's converters, adapters, fixtures, whatever we call them. And they are much maturer than keyword-driven. They are more English-like than keyword-driven would ever be. Why are we stuck there? So am I saying now you should start presenting on ATDD, TDD? What I'm saying is please get out of all of this. All of these are design aspects of a test automation framework. Whatever fits you, choose it. But then, in the absence of programming design knowledge, that would not come automatically to you. I'll give you a simple example. We in our company, as of now, have used JMeter, which is a performance testing tool, technically. We have done functional testing using it. We have done performance testing using it. And now we are doing security testing using this. So it's not the tool and its defined purpose. If you understand the fundamentals, security testing talks at HTTP layer. What are the tools which talk at HTTP layer? How can we use it? So you could choose it. And then we found out it has its limitation. It was treating 500 internal server errors as a failure of a test. For a security test, we were expecting a 500 internal server error, as long as in the content there is not leakage. These contexts would be understood only with a programming perspective. Learn programming, don't code. It's okay. Look at how others code. Go through some people's framework. It would give you a perspective. The two most powerful things to happen to me, whatever I am today, whatever small person I am today, were first treating testing as a thinking problem, not a process problem. As a thinking problem. Second, programming. These are the two things which changed me. Whatever type of testing I do, whether I'm doing exploratory testing, these two things, what are the most powerful thing? It's a thinking problem. I should think. And if it involves coding, how the person could have implemented it, that also aids in thinking. Yeah. The last part of the presentation, it's not an argument. Not an argument. It's a request to the industry. I'm a small person. I can cause change most likely in smaller pockets. That's what I'm trying to do. I set up the first company in testing services space in India, which is completely comprised of only programmers. All of us, we are 22 now. All of us are Java, Python, JavaScript programmers today, okay? But it's a small change. Can I scale? No, I understand the implications of scale. I understand. Some of you are leaders. You probably touch thousands of lives, at least hundreds of lives in your own organization. You work for bigger organizations. You can touch more lives. If I have struck a chord with you, okay? If, there's a big if there, of course. Try to bring a change or tolerate the Indian testing industry, because next time when you post a job requirement, when did you see the last job requirement in which there wasn't a coding requirement? Although you don't need it. You don't know what to do with it. You don't know what to do. It's like a hungry person. You keep him hungry for 7 days, and now suddenly he starts seeing food. He has food to eat. He spills most of it. He don't know what to do with all this food. He's so hungry about it. So tomorrow when you get people with coding skills, believe me, you would not know what to do with them. And then this job requirement, how many times did you really find a coder out there? Did you find? My fundamental question to you, we are the face of India. There's nothing called they. There's no they are. We are the reasons. If we have complained against management, the management is right here. Representatives from that block are there. If we have complaints for engineers, we are sitting right here. We represent Indian testing community here. How would you find what you never created? We never focused on creating programmers in the form of testers. We never focused on that. How would we go to the industry and find them? So the simple answer is, we don't. The same way, we go to the colleges only at the time of hiring. We never closely got involved with them that this is what testing profession is. It's a respectable profession. Those KPMG metrics, I think they should be taken to the colleges. That this is the job ratio. This is how the industry is headed. This is the percentage growth in testing. Educate them. Reach out to them before hiring, in second year, in third year. That lecture, talk just before hiring, that doesn't help. That's not creating a change in the industry. So, in my capacity, I'm trying to bring a change through these talks, in these things, in my own company, by building a company which is focused on the idea, because I believe in it. If you are convinced with it, try to bring this change back at home. You can do that, at least in small pockets, small change. Okay? So on that note, thank you so much for your patience. The fundamental problem here is the collaboration aspect between developers and testers. And now, because this was a very different topic, what you're saying has many aspects. It's not one single answer. If I have that answer, I'll become a very great consultant across the world. I am that developer. I love relationships and those things. But you can definitely solve that problem to some extent with knowledge. In the absence of, you say that your team is coding, okay? Do they understand architecture? What kind of conversation do they have with the development team? Are you too stuck with logging bugs? Does your system force you into doing that? Are you counting test cases? Okay? Are you okay to let go of a critical bug because the conversation already happened? And the developer just fixed that line, it is done. Why should we now do a bug triage around it? Okay? So it is more about relationships. If your team is already equipped with coding, believe me, they can have much better conversations with developers because they can talk their language than a person who does not. So I think softer aspects is your problem. The technical part is not your problem. Apart from coding though, ask them, I don't know when you say they know coding, are you talking about, because I believe you work on QTP, because you asked a question to the previous presenter about QTP. QTP is not coding. What you do with that, how many of your testers actually wrote the core of that framework? That is actually coding skills. Using a framework to make some API calls in that library, that I don't consider a coding skill. Using a framework, building a framework is the actual skill. Otherwise, it's just like tooling, using any other tool. 90% of the resume which you get in India today, okay? India today, good. In India, today, they would claim automation knowledge, but most of them have used frameworks, never created one. Never. That's the reason you see those gaps in interviews. 10 years, so many bullet points. Oh, kya baat hai? But now ask a question. It's not there. I think if technically your team is equipped, it is about relationships rather than other aspects. And when you say you're a manager, you could have talked about yourself. Because I don't know who your team is, but you're here for your inspiration. The person who inspired me to learn coding was my manager, who at that time had an 85-member team who he was managing. Jyoti Gautaman, he works for Accenture today. The person who changed my life, one of the first people. He would code every day after managing 85 people. He's the person who inspired me. If he has an alarm setting, he would write a VB code for that. Yeda. I learned a lot from him. So, and you don't need to code for something. You code for fun. It would give you a perspective. Solve your own problems using coding. Small report automation, daily status reporting. Why do you fill it with hand? Ask people to give in one format, write a small code, it would populate, save your time. So you've learned coding. It would have subtle side effects when you deal with actual testing problems, which you would appreciate them. Okay? So dev testing relationships, I think that's a much bigger topic than to be answered by me. As for me, because of these things, I have enjoyed very great relationships with most of developers, not all. Some of them would never understand. So वो 10% गधे जो होते हैं और testers में जो 10% गधे होते हैं, उनको छोड़ दीजिए. Rest of us are good people. It makes sense. When we talk sense, it makes sense to most of us. We understand. So try that path. It would work. One question more, I think. Or I would be available around anyways, so we can discuss. Yeah, please.
Hi, Rahul.
Hi.
I'm Naveen. I'm working for Span Infotech, and it's a service-based company.
Right.
And my question is basically like, we are trying hard in our organization from past couple of years to turn out like, just the topic, as it said, like coming out like manual testers, pushing them to learn coding and other things. But yeah, as you said, it is a real challenge, and we did stop hiring like manual testers, only manual testers in our organization.
Okay.
But even then, like even today, like it's not 10% what you said. Like
It is
who
very
are,
difficult.
Like, manual testers are not interested in converting. I can say it as more than 60-70%. They are not ready. Who has around maybe 7 to 8 years of experience.
That's a baggage.
Yeah.
When you next time write your profile, 7-8 years experience, I think we should replace that word. We should call it 7-8 years baggage. It's a lot to carry. It's a lot to carry. So that is what you would find. The more experience we get, even me, I fall in the same bucket, right? Today you try to convince me don't learn programming. But when I come fresh into the industry, you could have. You could have convinced me, converted me. So what the solution part was not here. What I find is that your team, which is more experienced, they would be reluctant. They are probably right about it because they have been following. So at least get them to read code. Involve them in discussions on design architecture rather than implementation details. You would find that more practical. But the people who you're hiring in like zero experience, 1 year experience range, get them into hard coding exercises first. And we say, right, what if we don't give them coding oriented work? You must prove to them how every testing work is coding oriented. It gives a perspective. You don't need to write code to get the perspective out of code. So get them young, get them early. That's the change in colleges which should also happen, right? So I would be available around. So any more discussions, कुछ भी आपने criticize करना है, I would be very open to it. This was my story, my perspective. I am open to any form of discussions. Thank you so much. I don't want to keep you from your lunch. Yep. Thank you.